Whether it has been expected because of a long illness or it's due to a surprise event like an accident or sudden health event, it can be quite shocking when someone passes away. After the initial jolt fades, there are practical tasks that must be taken care of. This video outlines those tasks in 3 phases. First, the things to do immediately. An official declaration of death is the first step to getting a death certificate, something you will need for all future legal steps. This must be done by a medical professional. If the deceased was in the hospital at time of death, the hospital will handle this for you. If your relative died at home under hospice care, the hospice nurse will handle this. How you handle sharing the loss with your friends and family is a personal decision. You will most likely want to talk to certain people in person or by phone. To track down other people who need to know, you can look through their email and mobile phone contacts if you have access. If the person was in the hospital or hospice, plans are already likely set. If the death was unexpected, you'll have to research. Look for a letter of instruction in the papers of the deceased. If no plans exist, then meet with the family to discuss it to develop an appropriate plan. Next are the things that should be done within a few days. If a prepaid burial plan does not exist, you'll need to choose a funeral home and decide on all the specifics, including pallbearers, eulogies, and service plans with the family. If the person was in the military or belonged to a religious group, contact the Veterans Administration or the specific organization to see if it offers burial benefits or conducts funeral services. Lock up their house and cars, secure cash, jewelry, and other valuables from the home, get the mail and remove spoilable foods from the refrigerator, ask a neighbor to water the plants. Make sure pets have caretakers until there's a permanent plan for them. A relative is usually a good choice. Go to the post office and put in a forwarding order to send the mail to yourself or whoever is working with you to see to the immediate affairs. This will also help you learn what subscriptions, creditors, and other accounts will need to be canceled or paid. When you speak to their employer, be sure to ask about benefits and any paychecks that may be due, including a company-wide life insurance policy, which many large companies have. Lastly, here's what you should do within 2 weeks. Make several copies of the death certificate since you will need it to close and cancel accounts, file insurance claims, and register the death with the government. The funeral home can get copies on your behalf, or you can order them from the Vital Statistics office in the state in which the person died. Look for the will wherever the person kept important papers. Wills generally name who is chosen as executor. This person will need to be involved in most of the steps going forward. If there isn't a will, then a court judge will name an administrator as part of the probate process. If you don't already have an estate lawyer, and if the estate is worth more than $50,000, you should consider hiring one to help navigate the process and distribute assets. The attorney must be chosen and/or approved by the executor. Use the deceased's CPA if they had one. If not, hire one. The estate may have to file a tax return, and the deceased will have to file a final return. It's critical to have these done correctly. Probate is the legal process that ensures that the person's debts and liabilities are paid and that the remaining assets are transferred to the beneficiaries. It is done through county or city probate court office. The probate process takes an average of 16 months in the United States to complete. If you are a beneficiary and need your inheritance funds sooner, consider getting an inheritance advance. Create a detailed list of all assets, bank accounts, houses, cars, brokerage accounts, personal property, furniture, jewelry, etc., all of which will need to be filed in the court for probate. Consider hiring an appraiser if there are a substantial number of physical items that need to be valued. All outstanding debts will need to be settled for the estate to close, so provide the executor with a list of these expenses. Cancel ongoing services like cable, cell phone contracts, and any subscriptions. Notify the following institutions of the person's death: the Social Security Administration, their insurance companies, their banks and other financial institutions, their financial advisors and stockbrokers, and credit agencies. To prevent theft, it's best to cancel their driver's license. Contact the Department of Motor Vehicles for specific instructions. You will need a copy of the death certificate. Be sure to keep a copy of the driver's license, as you may need it to close or access accounts that belonged to the deceased. Contact customer service and tell the representative that you're closing the account on behalf of a deceased relative who had a sole account. You'll need a copy of the death certificate for this. Keep records of accounts you close and inform the executor of any outstanding balances on the cards. Be sure to cut up the credit cards of your dead loved ones so they aren't lost or stolen. Contact providers to end coverage for the deceased on home, auto, and health insurance policies, and ask that any unused premium be returned. You can delete social media accounts, but some survivors choose to turn them into a memorial for their loved one instead. Either way, you'll need to contact the companies with copies of the death certificate. Contact your state or county directly to find out how to remove the name of your dead relative from the voting rolls. If you are dealing with the loss of a loved one, we hope you find this video helpful. And if you are a beneficiary who will have to wait for probate, we can provide additional help with an inheritance advance. Click here for more information.